Good morning, Fred.
How are you today?
Good. I see we had some technical difficulties, but I think we're all good this morning.
Yeah,
Well, it
happy
looks like the markets are doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I know. I don't have a strong sense on the short term of anything special. I think longer term we have our views, inflation, yield curve, weak dollar. Those are all playing out, and it's taken time to get them done. But I don't see anything in the short term that's going to change them.
I think people are looking at gold a little more since the breakout. I must have read 6 articles about it. Um, there was an article, the guys at the Goldman desk are saying that they're just getting so many calls, and the difference between what they call paper gold and cash gold. And then they talk about the ETFs as a whole separate category. I didn't get that. I got to read the article again. But clearly, I think the ETFs have caught up with spot gold.
Right?
But gold seems to be on everybody's mind. They're looking at it. I think that's shaking them.
They're looking at it, and nobody's panicked about we got to sell these tops. You know, so normally when you have those breakouts and it stalls, people are saying, "Well, we got to sell this top. It's come a long way," but I haven't heard any of that.
I don't know that there were stops.
Well, no, I'm not saying stops. That we took out the tops,
Hmm.
not the stops. Took out the old highs, and then
Yeah,
we didn't really break. We're just holding, and
yeah. We haven't surged.
yeah,
We're climbing slowly, but we're climbing.
yeah. No, I
Um,
like gold to have for a while. Always been in the portfolio. Good percentage of the portfolio. ETF gold, anyway. I don't have a lot of physical gold.
yeah. Um, the thing I think that's got people's there's a strong opinion building that the Fed is caved, that the Fed is politicized, and then offsetting that is, well, maybe they know something we don't know, and we're going into a recession. And I've seen a number of comparisons, but we're really talking about nothing because these markets are just marching time. Maybe it's maybe it's a function of the election. People really aren't sure how they're going. Voting has begun.
Yeah. I saw something yesterday. Zelensky was in Pennsylvania with Kamala and the governor of Pennsylvania. The governor of Pennsylvania was signing artillery, autographing artillery.
Probably made there.
Yeah. I just thought, I don't, it didn't sit well with me. It just didn't sit well
It's
with
like
me.
World War II when they autographed the bombs. And
Yeah, autographing artillery. It just didn't sit well. So I'm very disturbed about all the political tensions that are going on throughout the world. You know, Ukraine, Israel, Lebanon.
I guess that's the move, Israel, and what they're doing. Their problem is the North. All the people evacuated the North, and they put pressure on the government saying, "Can we go back home?" And now the government's starting to take out Hezbollah.
Yeah,
I did read one article that talked about a bomb that Israel dropped, and they thought it was either a bunker buster or a tactical nuke. It was a huge bomb.
yeah. It's couple of
Uh,
days ago. Yeah, I saw some of the
yeah.
video of that.
And then it died. I haven't heard any more about it.
Yeah, frightening. There's some of the video that's coming out all over. Very scary times. Um, you know, on another note, just to change it to a more domestic issue, I saw something this morning that talked about Boeing's got 40,000 people on strike, 40,000 workers on strike. It's been going on for a couple of weeks. Doesn't look like there's any end in sight. And I just heard something this morning that's even more disturbing. That longshoremen nationwide are calling for an October 1st strike.
Yeah, which is going to hit Christmas season
Yeah,
and kill the merchants.
yeah,
I think that's probably the bigger issue right now. Labor hasn't really responded to these inflation numbers in a big way, but you're starting to see it now.
hmm
And the strikes are going to ensure that prices go up, domestic prices go up. This is inflationary.
Right. It's wage inflation has always been a part of it since COVID. You know, for the
Yeah.
last 4 years, wage inflation has been the big driver, and you have the agricultural side still growing. I don't see the end. You know, people talking about Powell talking the other day about we're moving in the right direction. I don't see it. I think inflation's still a big problem.
Yeah, if I had to put a gun to your head and say what's the inflation, the real inflation rate today versus the real inflation rate a year from now. First of all, what do you think the real inflation rate is today?
I don't think it's what the government says. I think it's a little bit higher.
I don't think anybody I've ever asked that question to has said anything different.
Right.
Nobody believes the government numbers. But if you take the government numbers, we're at 2.5%. It's probably 5. you know. But assuming that we're 2.5%, using that as a benchmark, a year from now, I think we're looking at 4.5.
I can't argue with that. And you know, if what they're saying is 2.5% now and it's really 5, then a year ago, it was really 10 or 15. Right? You know, so we've come down, but the rate of price hikes is still, you know, unsustainable.
Well, you know, we used to say you have cost push and demand pull inflation. I'm not sure this is demand pull. This is cost push.
Right.
And cost push really accelerates when labor comes into the picture. And we had a very tight labor market a year ago at the low end. And I think all these immigrants now have filled the low end, and there's no, quote, demand for low-skilled laborers, or at least it's lessened, let's say that. But on the higher end, you got the blue-collar guys saying, what about me, longshoremen? The truckers are going to get into the act here.
Yeah.
And airlines are Boeing, I suppose, is more of the blue collar. So labor can really push this inflation number a lot higher.
hmm Yeah, I think that's a problem lurking in the background. You know, we haven't
Yeah.
broken the back of what we have now, and we're looking at bigger problems going forward.
So combine it to a 50 basis point Fed, I could see the argument that the Fed has caved in the face of higher inflationary pressures. Whether or not that's because of the election, hard to say. And of course, you know, the other side of it is there really is a recession out there that the Fed is worried about. 50 basis points, just hard to justify based on what we're seeing and what we know.
I don't disagree, and I know there was a lot of talk. Is it 25? Is it 50? Is it 50 and then they go more? Or are they going to pause? Is this the first and last? And I always remember what Gartman had said about when a central bank starts to move. He says they'll go a lot further than you think for a lot longer than you think. And that's, you know, when the Fed first started cutting, what was it, 8, 10 years ago? Nobody thought we'd go to zero. Right? And it moved it a lot quicker, a lot further.
Yeah.
And when we raised it from zero, nobody thought we'd be at 5.5% in a year's time. So,
And there's people expecting that as if that was the normal.
yeah.
People are expecting that was the normal. It's not. In short, I think you got to look at the dollar topping here. Maybe it's a sale. Gold is telling you that.
Well, I just looked at some quick charts. In the last 6 months, we've had some big moves. Euro's gone from 107 to 111 and a half. Yen's gone from above 160 to the low 140s. Sterling from probably 123 or 124 up to 131. So we've had some big moves in the G7 majors. And does it continue? I don't know. I mean, we've always said the dollar is the best horse in the glue factory, but I'm not convinced that that's the answer, especially if we start easing.
But all of those moves, based on what you said, started when the Fed started easing. Or if the Fed,
July. I'm just
the
going
Fed
back to
stopped, I guess better, the Fed stopped tightening.
July. Yeah.
and got more accommodative. I remember when he was given that press conference, would have been a few months ago, that he started a signal that the tightening was over. And those moves occurred then. So I think they're Fed related.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Um,
not much to talk about today. I didn't read Jared. I don't think he published this morning.
and I didn't see anything so far today. You know, I just think the overall, for me, my model portfolio is inflation stocks, healthcare stocks, and what was the
IVOL,
other?
yield curve.
Yeah. Yield curve and inflation stocks, like the agricultures and the metals. I think that's where you got to be. And healthcare. I mean, you can't dismiss that healthcare. Except, and I think this is going to be interesting. Robert Kennedy Jr., if Trump gets elected, is talking about really holding the big pharma their feet to the fire. And I think if, November 6th, if you get a Trump election, I think you might want to lighten up on some of these healthcare stocks. So I think
Well,
it's a win for the next couple of months.
yeah, you're not going to know until November 10th from the looks of things.
Yeah.
We don't have election day. We have election season, and we don't have results. We have result week.
That's right.
All right. Well, have a good day.
All
Talk
right,
to you
take
tomorrow.
care, Tim. Enjoy.